And a boot to Baszler. Takes Baszler out of the mix.
Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton go off script during SmackDown promo. Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton got personal on Friday night as the two cut a promo on each other for their build to WrestleMania 41. What started as a typical back and forth quickly went off script, as Stratton referenced Flair's recent divorce and Flair hinted that she could have Stratton's real-life boyfriend Ludwig Kaiser. Flair and Stratton took several cheap shots. Fans have been somewhat critical of the build towards this WWE Women's Championship match. A couple of weeks ago, a sit-down interview got some heat as Stratton seemed to lose her way in a verbal exchange with the more experienced Flair. Last week, the promos went a bit better. This week, things really got personal. Flair talked about how she was doing charity work by choosing Stratton as her WrestleMania opponent. She then said she wanted to prove to the smartest wrestling fans that there is no comparison between the two women. Stratton responded by saying that Charlotte's biggest competitor has been the fans. "That's a battle that you'll never win," Stratton said. She then made reference to Charlotte crying on a talk show. Then she said Charlotte will always come second to her daddy, Ric Flair. The crowd then booed Charlotte so much that she could hardly get a word in. Things really went off the rails. Things got nasty when Stratton told Flair that after WrestleMania, "You're gonna be just like you was outside the ring, alone. What's that record, like 0-3? Stratton rolled out of the ring as though she was looking to end the promo. As she was walking away, Flair responded, "Hey Tiffany, is that why Ludwig Kaiser is in my DMs?" For fans who aren't aware, Stratton is dating Kaiser in real life, and Charlotte was essentially suggesting she could take Stratton's man if she wanted to, and that Kaiser is interested because he's been messaging Stratton behind her back. At WrestleVotes said that the promo was very different from what was scripted for both women to cover. It's not clear if WWE was open to these two going off track in this fashion to add some animosity to the rivalry, or if the two women will have to explain why things took a sideways turn. Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton reportedly go off script in WWE SmackDown segment. Royal Rumble winner Charlotte Flair and WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton met face-to-face in the ring on WWE SmackDown for another war of words, this time moderated by commentator Wade Barrett to prevent them from getting physical, but they reportedly didn't stay on script for their promo battle. According to WrestleVotes on X, formerly Twitter, the women said very little of what was in the rundown for them and went off script quite a bit. WrestleVotes didn't specify what portions of the segment were specifically off script, but it ended with Stratton taking a shot at Flair's most recent divorce, calling her 0-3 inches and saying that after WrestleMania she'd be alone just like in her personal life. Stratton slid out of the ring immediately after delivering the line, but Flair got in one last shot about Stratton's boyfriend Ludwig Kaiser being in my DMs. Flair had seemed visibly shaken by the jeers of the Chicago crowd earlier in the promo. And Stratton's split-screen interview on the March 21 episode of SmackDown was criticized by fans, with many saying Flair attempted to bury the champion. Some within WWE even believed Stratton was put in a sink-or-swim situation. Prior to the heavily criticized segment, the women traded attacks on one another, with Stratton being the woman left standing most recently after taking Flair out with a moonsault from the top of the Tron. Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton reportedly go off script in SmackDown segment. Charlotte Flair and WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton met in the ring for a promo segment on this week's April 4 edition of Friday Night SmackDown, trading jibes in an intense war of words where they each took personal insults at one another. It seems, however, that things went off the rails during his segment between Flair and Stratton, as several reports have suggested that they went off script. WrestleVotes on X noted that the pair said very little of what was in the rundown for them. Off script quite a bit. This was followed up on X by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, who also stated that those he spoke to believe that Stratton and Flair went very off script. Another X insider, WRKD Wrestling, did reveal that any mention of Charlotte Flair's divorce would have been greenlighted ahead of time, though there was no specification here on the level of the promo that went off script, and which specific comments were not in the rundown. This comes after a controversial segment in previous weeks where a backstage interaction between Flair and Stratton also seemingly went off script, with Flair cutting across Stratton in what was described as a sink-or-swim moment for the WWE Women's 4 interferences that could happen during Charlotte Flair vs. Tiffany Stratton at WWE WrestleMania 41. Tiffany Stratton is heading to WrestleMania 41 to defend the WWE Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. The two wrestlers have proven themselves to be explosive enough during their brawls on SmackDown. However, this doesn't mean they shouldn't expect company in Las Vegas. Here are 4 stars who could interfere in their match at the show of shows. Number 4. Ric Flair could try to help his daughter become the WWE Women's Champion again. Hall of Famer Ric Flair is a big pillar, supporter, and fan of Charlotte Flair. The Nature Boy has cheered for his daughter for several of her matches from ringside. Thus, it isn't difficult to imagine that the legend could be there to witness her title match at WrestleMania 41. However, the Queen is currently a heel right now. Thus, there is a chance that Ric Flair could try to pull some underhanded tactics to give his daughter the advantage, as he wants Charlotte Flair to earn the WWE Women's Championship for the first time. Nia Jax could make Tiffany Stratton pay for betraying her. Nia Jax could make Tiffany Stratton pay for betraying her. Tiffany Stratton won the WWE Women's Championship after cashing in her Money in the Bank contract on Nia Jax. The duo had been close friends with each other before. But, Jax had to look over her shoulder every time to check on Tiffy, who had helped her win the title from Bayley at the 2024 SummerSlam. While the Irresistible Force received a title rematch, it ended in a DQ and the title didn't change hands. However, she will have the perfect opportunity to exact revenge on the Buff Barbie for betraying her at WrestleMania 41. If Jax costs Tiffy the title, she could later claim a title shot against Charlotte Flair. She could state that she eliminated the most number of wrestlers from the Royal Rumble, which Flair won to receive her title shot. 2. Becky Lynch could cause problems for Tiffany Stratton. Becky Lynch is one of WWE's 4 horsewomen alongside Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. The man was last seen in action in May 2024 where she failed to reclaim the Women's World Championship from Liv Morgan. While she has signed a new deal with the Stamford-based promotion after her contract expired in June 2024, Lynch hasn't returned so far. This, however, could change at WrestleMania 41 where big-time Bex could return as a heel. The man could help the Queen defeat Tiffany Stratton and win the WWE Women's Championship. Several rumors predict that Becky Lynch will have a new character upon her return, making this a likely outcome. Number 1. Trish Stratus could lend a helping hand to her new friend. Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton have formed a very close friendship with each other in the past several weeks. The Buff Barbie and the 7-time Women's Champion have released new merchandise together and also won a tag team match against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae at Elimination Chamber. The Hall of Famer could watch Tiffy's back in Las Vegas and prevent Charlotte Flair from playing dirty. Additionally, she could also keep an eye out for other wrestlers who may try to help the Queen win her 15th World Championship. It would be interesting to see if Tiffany Stratton is able to score a win in her first Mania title defense. Condolences. Charlotte Flair sends a message after WWE SmackDown. WWE superstar Charlotte Flair made a massive impact in the latest episode of SmackDown. The Queen has now issued a message, potentially directed at WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton, following her verbal back and forth with the 25-year-old on the Friday night show. On the March 21st installment of the Blue Brands show in Bologna, Italy, Flair and Stratton participated in a split-screen interview with Joe Tessitore. The segment became memorable because the Queen dominated the conversation, seemingly undermining the Buff Barbie's confidence ahead of their WWE Women's Championship match at WrestleMania 41. Taking to X, formerly Twitter, the dirtiest diva in the game sent a brutal one-word message after SmackDown, seemingly disparaging Tiffany Stratton. WWE veterans comment on Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton's segment on SmackDown. Dutch Mantel and Vince Russo offered their thoughts on the verbal exchange via satellite between the Queen and the blonde bombshell. The veterans discussed this during an appearance on Sportskeeda Wrestling's Bro Down. According to Dutch Mantel, Tiffany Stratton looked scared after Charlotte Flair ate her alive. The veteran also claimed that both women performed as partial heels. Little Tiffany looks scared.